Destiny, the biggest and most hyped game of the year, is finally here, and I've been playing for it for well over a month now, and now it's time to review it. But was it worth the $500 million budget and the hype? Let's find out. It's my review of Destiny. Destiny is a strange as he's a great actor with a fantastic voice, but this just feels like a stunt to get more people to buy it. As Dinklage sounds really bored while saying his lines, it feels like he's reading the ingredients of a soup tin. One of his first lines are, "You have been dead for a long while. You must have a lot of questions," which feels like it sets up the tone for the whole game. You go through the whole game with tons of questions, but never really getting any answers. By the time I was nearing the end, 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 the end of the game, I just lost interest in the plot, which is a shame because I was hoping Destiny to have a pretty decent plot. As you travel through the game's 4 planets, you notice how beautiful the game looks, with some of the best graphics on the PlayStation 4, and that's about it. As you explore each of the planets, you just wander around big open spaces with nothing to do bar shooting aliens, travelling to the next stage, and shooting some more aliens. But you do meet the odd online player doing their own mission. That's where the MMO thing kicks in. One thing that Destiny does get right is its music, which is absolutely brilliant, and dare I say it, the best thing about the game. When you are playing a mission, a big enemy may pop up and so does an orchestral score kicks in, which is really adrenaline pumping and so well made. Thankfully, the soundtrack is available to buy digitally. It's not many times you can say music in a shooting game is great, so savour it. Each of the game's 20 or so levels have you doing the same thing over and over again. Find a new planet, protect Dinklage from waves of enemies as he tries to hack something, then travel to point B and shoot some more enemies, then repeat. Occasionally you'll go up against a really big enemy, which is basically a bullet sponge. That, and a few cutscenes, and I really mean a few cutscenes, sums up the campaign. And that is quite a shame, really, because there's hardly any cutscenes at all. I think there's about 4 or 5, and that's about it. What else is there by the campaign, I hear you ask? Well, you can level up your Guardians so you can equip new gear and weapons and gain new powers exclusive to your class. You can gain XP in Destiny by doing story missions, killing enemies, patrol missions, bounties, and fighting in the Crucible. The more on the latter 3 later, but once you've reached level 20, which can be done quite quickly, you don't level up by killing enemies and the like, but from special pieces of armour that contain light. This is all fine and dandy, but this is going to be incredibly time consuming and is going to pee a lot of people off, because by the time I got to level 24, I gave up finding new equipment as the drops from the enemies are random and most of the equipment I was getting was several levels lower than what I actually was. Other things to do in Destiny to keep you occupied are the strike missions, which you and 2 other players take on for an hour-plus level filled with powerful enemies and bullet sponge bosses, which can take an absolute age to finally kill them. I find the strike missions okay, but the later ones really took a long time and I just gave up because I got bored. Also, there are patrol missions, which you are sat on the planet where you free to do small missions, which are basically shooting enemies over and over again, or travelling to a certain spot and scanning something. That's about it. But you do get XP for that. which is okay, I suppose, until you reach a level 20. Your main hub is the tower, which is similar to Monster Hunter in a way, in which you can buy weapons, armor, and take on bounties like kill so many enemies without dying or getting so many headshots. And most importantly, meeting other players to dance. Literally, I've met players who just danced in front of massive bosses. It's funny, but I can see a lot of people getting annoyed with this when people are messing about in a busy moment of a mission and they end up losing it because of them. Also to Destiny, there is a fairly decent multiplayer part to the game. You don't unlock it till you reach a level 5, and then you will get thrashed by people online with better equipment than you. I was in a battle with loads of level 20s and a couple of people under level 10s, so it is recommended that you get some decent mid-teen equipment before you go online. There are 5 modes in multiplayer. You have your team deathmatch, capture the flag, 3v3, and etc. This is where my eyes, Destiny does get it right. Simple, fun, and not overcomplicated multiplayer that is great to play and has some quite decent maps. You could say that the multiplayer plays it safe and there isn't really no original modes here, but it's enjoyable and that's the main thing. At the end of the day, was Destiny worth the hype? Yes and no. It's a decent game, but it feels like it wants to be an MMO, but just ends up taking baby steps into the genre. The main problem with the game is that its story missions are really boring, and the story is very stupid and boring. The missions are repetitive, and the random loot drops will just make you grind and it'll just drive you nuts. But for what Destiny does get wrong, Destiny makes up in fantastic art direction, gorgeous graphics, and fantastic soundtrack, and also really good multiplayer. And for that reason, I give Destiny a 7 out of 10. Tell me what you think about Destiny below. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.